This is Radio Nepal. I'm Dela Prasai with the news at the headlines first. Vice presidential election set for today. Election Commission urges political parties not to make any decision in support or against candidates during the silence period. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda directs concerned agencies not to create unnecessary hassles to the youths going abroad for employment. Nepal books place in ICC Men's Cricket World Cup qualifier defeating UAE by 9 runs. And US Bank inject a multi-billion-dollar rescue deal for First Republic Bank after series of bank collapses. Now the news in detail. Voting for the election to the post of Vice President is taking place today. Ashtalakshmi Shakya of the CPN-UML, Mamta Jha of the Janamat Party and Ram Shahaya Prasad Yadav of the Janata Samajwadi Party are in the race. Voting will be held at Lotse Hall of the Federal Parliament Building, New Baneshwar from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. According to Assistant Election Officer Amrita Kumari Sharma, separate voting centres have been determined for the members of Federal Parliament and Province Assembly. Meanwhile, 2 types of ballot papers have been printed for the Vice Presidential Election 2079. The ballot paper for the Federal Parliament members is of red colour, while it is of green colour for the Province Assembly members. Name and photo of candidates have been printed in the ballot papers. The weightage of a vote cast by a member of Federal Parliament will be equivalent to 79, whereas the weightage of a vote cast by Province Assembly member will be equivalent to 48. There are 332 voters of the Federal Parliament and 550 voters of the Province Assembly in the Vice Presidential election. This is the third Vice Presidential election since the country adopted Federal Democratic Republic system in 2008. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has drawn the attention of the political parties not to make decision in the support or against the vice presidential candidates during the silence period. Issuing a press release yesterday, the Election Commission drew the attention of the political parties that the election-related activities have been prohibited before 48 hours of the election in order to hold the election in a free, fearless, transparent and impartial manner. Nepal has secured its spot at the 2023 ICC Men's Cricket World Cup qualifier by defeating the UAE by 9 runs. Nepal won the historic game by 9 runs in Duckworth-Lewis method while chasing the target of 311 runs set by the UAE. Nepal collected 269 runs with the loss of 6 wickets when the umpires stopped the game due to lower visibility at the TU International Cricket Ground in Kirtipur. From the Nepali batting side, Kushal Purtel, Bhim Sharki, Arif Sheikh and Gulshan Jha made half-century each to ensure victory for the team. Batting first, the UAE posted 310 runs on the board with a loss of 6 wickets in the stipulated 50 overs. With the win, Nepal climbed to 3rd place in the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2 and got the direct qualification for the World Cup qualifier to be held in Zimbabwe in June and July. Nepal won 11 out of last 12 games held under the league. Meantime, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda has congratulated the men's national cricket team on their victory in the match and direct entry to ICC Men's World Cup qualifier. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda has directed the concerned bodies not not to create unnecessary hassles to the youths going abroad for the employment. Addressing a meeting of the Development Problems Resolution Committee at the Ministry of Home Affairs yesterday, the Prime Minister said numerous complaints have been heard from youth seeking foreign employment that they face numerous various hassles in the process. On the occasion, the Prime Minister also asked the officials to monitor any kind of dilly-dally or creating unnecessary hassles in the works. Likewise, the Prime Minister asked the officials to complete the remaining works of budgetary programs undertaken by the ministry, urging the work vigorously in disaster risk minimization. The Prime Minister called on the ministry officials to make the crime control, investigation and prosecution prompt and reliable. The Prime Minister also directed the Home Ministry to expedite the printing and distribution of the National Identity Card and link the e-system of the service-providing bodies with the National Identity Management System at the earliest. Ambassador of Nepal to South Africa, Dan Bahadur Tamang, presented the letters of credence to President of Republic of South Africa, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, amidst a special ceremony held at the Sefako Magato Presidential Guest House in Pretoria on Tuesday. On the occasion, Ambassador Tamang conveyed warm greetings and best wishes of President of Nepal to the South African President for his good health and happiness, as well as for the continued progress and prosperity of the friendly people of South Africa. Chief Minister of the Sudur Pashchim Province, Kamal Bahadur Shah, has urged the delegation of the European Union to Nepal to help in promotion of energy sector. Chief Minister Saha's personal secretary Dhirendra Shahi said during the meeting with the delegation in Thangadi yesterday, discussions were held on the issues of hydropower promotion and development of health and education sector. Ambassadors of EU member countries Germany, Finland and France were also in the delegation led by EU Ambassador to Nepal, Nona Depre. The Janata Samajwadi Party Nepal has decided to send Manju Ansari as the member of the House of Representatives. Party spokesperson Manish Suman said a meeting of the work execution of the party held yesterday took the decision to this effect. The post had remained vacant after the death of Sainaz Rahman, lawmaker of Janata Samajwadi Party Nepal, under the proportional representation quota. You're listening to Radio Nepal 8 AM English News Bulletin. We continue with the international updates now. A group of big U.S. banks has injected $30 billion into a smaller regional bank, First Republic, according to the BBC. The move came as authorities in the U.S. are to quell panic over the health of the banking system. Worries about the sector have spread globally, raising fears of crisis. The day toll from Tropical Cyclone Freddy has passed 300 as the toll continues to rise in Mozambique and Malawi. According to Al Jazeera, the storm toured through southern Africa over the weekend for a second time after first making landfall in late February. It is one of the longest-lasting tropical cyclones ever recorded and one of the deadliest in Africa in recent years. Authorities say at least 53 people have died in Mozambique's Jambesia province, more than doubling their previous count. Meanwhile, Malawi has reported 225 deaths so far, with hundreds more injured and some still missing. Continued rain and power outages have hampered search and rescue efforts this week as the storm caused severe flooding. South Korea's and Japan's leaders have held talks in Tokyo, what has been hailed as a milestone in the fraught relationship. According to the BBC, the talks between South Korea President Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida comes at a time when North Korea fired a fourth round of missiles in a week. It is reported that the leaders agreed to resume regular visits and resolved a long-running trade dispute as well. Now the general weather forecast for the country for today. Forecasting division says the weather is likely to be partly to generally cloudy in the hilly areas of the country and partly cloudy to mainly fair in the rest of the country. With this news, we have almost come to the end of this bulletin, but before we wrap up the headlines once again. Vice presidential election set for today. Election Commission urges political parties not to make any decision in support or against candidates during silence period. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda directs concerned agencies not to create unnecessary hassles for youths going abroad for employment. Nepal books place in ICC Men's Cricket World Cup qualifier, defeating UAE by 9 runs. And US banks inject multi-billion US dollar rescue deal for First Republic Bank after series of bank collapses. Well, that's all that we have for this edition. Our next English news edition is at 2 in the afternoon. You can also listen to us online at our website www.radionepal.gov.np for more news and online programs. Stay tuned, stay safe, and have a good day.